Hey guys, what's up? It's Eric with Advanced Love Automotive. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another quick video. So today I have this 2008 Nissan Rogue, and the vehicle came in the other day with the P0037 code, which is the catalyst efficiency below threshold. So we went ahead and replaced the catalytic converter. I did verify that we didn't have any issues with misfires or anything like that. While we were at it, we did go ahead and replace the spark plugs. But I want to show you guys something. This is a perfect example of why I hate using aftermarket catalytic converters, even though a lot of times we don't have any other choice because, of course, buying an OEM catalytic converter can cost twice as much and sometimes be way out of the realm of the customer's budget. So anyway, to make the story short, I replaced the catalytic converter. When the vehicle came in, it only had one code, which was the P0037 code. Then a day later, she came back with the check engine light back on. I hooked up the scan tool, and let me show you what I found. Taking a quick look at the scan tool, you can see we only have one code present. That code is a P0037 Heater Control Circuit Low Bank 1 Sensor 2, which is going to be the downstream oxygen sensor. We don't have any other codes present. The P0037 did not come back, and she has been driving it for about 4 days now. So I know that we don't have a problem with the catalytic converter itself, but I want to show you guys what I found when I went to investigate this P0037. I'm going to take you guys under the hood and show you. Again, this is an aftermarket catalytic converter. I actually still have the original one. It's over there on my workbench, and the other aftermarket replacement catalytic converter that we're going to be replacing this with, but we'll get to that in a second. So I want you guys to take a look at these oxygen sensors. So we have this upstream one located right there, and then we have the downstream, which is located down there. And that's what we have our trouble code for. But let me go ahead and focus in on that and tell me if you can see what's wrong. All right, can you guys see it? Yeah, that oxygen sensor got crushed between the catalytic converter and the engine block. So when I saw that, I immediately knew that that's why we have our heater circuit code, because if you take a look at it, you can actually see where we have a wire that got split apart. Let me zoom in a little bit here. So can you guys see that white wire that's broken off? Yep, that wire belongs to the heater circuit. So of course it didn't take me long to figure out why the check engine light was back on. Of course, a quick visual check told us what happened. But what I will say is that when I was installing this, it felt pretty good. I mean, once I put it up there onto the studs, everything seemed to line up properly. It's just that when I went to tighten it down up here at the manifold, it pushed it inward, and that's when that sensor got crushed into the side of the engine block. And to be honest, guys, I didn't even realize it because, when I was putting it in, I didn't feel any fitment issues. I mean, the pipe at the bottom bolted right up. This exhaust manifold part bolted right up. So I didn't even really bother to look down there. If I did, I probably would have noticed what happened. But like I said, I felt that everything was lining up properly. And so I put a little bit too much trust in this aftermarket part. And it seems now that this thing is turning around to bite me. Over here on the workbench, I have the OEM catalytic converter right here. And then I have another aftermarket catalytic converter, the same brand. It's just going to be a warranty replacement because we're going to consider the one that's on the vehicle right now a factory defect. But let me show you guys what they did wrong. So if you take a look at this catalytic converter, it is all one solid piece with the exhaust manifold. There is no separation here. It's all one solid piece. So you can see where the top O2 sensor connects right here and where the bottom O2 sensor connects. And they're sort of at an angle as to where this one is kind of sticking out and this one's sticking off a little bit to the side here. Well, if you look at this one, it seems that, they did a pretty close enough job. This sensor I don't have a problem with, but on the other one, this is kind of pointed inward. So because it's pointed inward, that's where we run into a problem with the sensor hitting the engine block. So essentially, whenever they welded on this O2 sensor bunghole, they didn't position it correctly, and that's what created our problem. So anyways, this is going to be the second time I'm going to replace this catalytic converter, and I'm going to be doing it with another aftermarket replacement part because, again, the customer does not have the budget to buy an OEM catalytic converter. So that really leaves me no choice at this point but to replace this one with another aftermarket unit in the hopes that this one may fit better than the one that we have on the vehicle. So wish me luck, guys.
A few moments later.
Okay, so here we have them all side by side. This is the one that I just pulled off of the vehicle, the one where we have our crushed O2 sensor. Again, you guys can see the wire that broke off whenever this end dug into the side of the engine block, pretty much destroying the sensor. So again, our issue here is that this is angled too far in, and taking a look at the replacement that they sent me, It's very hard to tell, but I have a good feeling about this because it does look like it's sticking out a little straighter than this one is. I think this one seems like it's a little more angled than this one, but really there's only one way for me to tell, and that's installing this back into the vehicle. Of course, this time I'm going to be much more cautious with it. I don't want to damage the sensor that I had to buy for it because that sensor was not cheap. It was $130, but I am hoping that maybe the parts company can maybe do some type of reimbursement. I mean, there's no promise on that. Sometimes they'll work with you as far as labor claims and stuff go. In this case, I'm not really sure if they're going to help me pay for the sensor or not. But either way, at this point in time, I have to get this vehicle back together because this is her only mode of transportation. All right, guys, so I've got the replacement catalytic converter bolted up, and we now have plenty of clearance from the engine block where that downstream O2 sensor is. Can you guys see that? This one fits much better.
1 hour later.
All right, guys, so I'm here delivering the vehicle to the customer, which was about 10-minute drive from my house. But if you take a look at the scan tool here, we managed to actually complete a few of the monitors in just that short drive. So if you take a look here, we have the O2 sensor heater. You can see it's okay and ready to go. So that means we did fix our problem, and luckily we didn't blow the heater fuse. The other thing here is that the catalyst, it says okay, so it is ready to go. So I definitely feel comfortable calling that a fix. All right, guys, so we managed to finish the vehicle, but not without having to do the job twice. You know, I've said it before, these aftermarket catalytic converters can sometimes be a gamble. You never know if you're gonna have a problem with either the catalytic converter not working good enough to satisfy the engine computer, or a problem like we had today where we had a fitment issue or an issue where when they manufactured it, it wasn't manufactured properly. In this case, it cost us an extra $130 sensor that was damaged because of the bad design of this thing. So if you guys are looking to get an aftermarket catalytic converter, please be careful when you're installing it. Make sure that everything lines up properly and that you're not gonna damage anything when you go to fully tighten everything down. Personally, at this point, I do feel like I'm going to start moving away from using aftermarket catalytic converters because they seem to get me in trouble a lot. I think especially if you're a shop and you're doing this stuff for customers, really it's probably better to just go ahead and stick with using the OEM catalytic converter, even if they can't afford it, because a lot of times putting an aftermarket one in is going to end up costing you more in the long run. You know, you're gonna have to factor in for things like maybe having to do the job twice, or possibly in the near future having the car come back with the P0037 code because the catalytic converter wasn't good enough to keep up with the factory emission standards. So to me personally, if I owned a shop, I probably would only quote OEM, and if they didn't want to go that way, I would rather just not do the job at all. But if this is your personal vehicle and you're trying to save some money, I mean, an aftermarket catalytic converter could probably be really your only option if the OEM one is not even in your budget. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Like I always say, I hope you find it useful. I hope you find it informational, educational. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks.